Hey everybody, welcome to Into the Dark with Riverside, Iowa Paranormal. I'm up here, I'm at the top of the screen, I'm Mr. Bill. On the panel tonight we've got
Kelly, Michelle,
Jake, and Drew.
Hey everybody, we're glad you're all here. We want to let you know tonight we're going to kind of pick up from where we left off our last show, or hope to start our last show. Hey Karen, what's going on? So Melissa's on here with us.
hi Melissa.
We're going to pick up from where
Bacon.
Bacon! We're going to pick up from where we left off on our last show. We're actually going to kind of start over. We had Alan on our last show. He was awesome. He was awesome here to be with. We had great stories. We will have him on again, where we'll talk nothing but about Alan. We'll have that one set up for that. But tonight we're going to talk about the different types of hauntings, what we had hoped to talk about. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear everything you guys got to say. Daphne, what's happening? So we do not have a call-in line tonight. There's still some kind of technical difficulties going on. Stephanie jumped in right here at the very beginning.
Hi Mikey.
Mikey, what's up? So tonight we're going to be talking about different types of hauntings. We've got a list of them. We want your comments. We want to hear what you guys have to say. We want to start off, first of all, saying a big shout out to all the United States Armed Forces serving around the world and in the United States. Wherever you're at, thank you very much for what you do each and every single day. Everything you guys do gives us the opportunity to do what we are doing here, and it keeps us free. Keep safe. Please come home to your loved ones and your families because they're waiting home for you. Thank you very much for what you do.
And I would like to do the shout out to all the first responders out there. They go out every night too, have families out there that are waiting for them to come back. And we wanted to give a thank you to all the families who sit back, wait every day or night for their loved ones to return. We thank each and every one of you for all your service.
And we also want to thank all of you out there, our Facebook family. Remember, just like Bill said, that this show is just as much yours as it is ours. So we want to hear your comments. We want to know what your questions are, and we'll answer those here on the show tonight.
So I'm going to turn it over to you guys, because we are talking about tonight, again, we're talking about the different types of hauntings that are out there. So, before we do that, have we done anything? Have we been anywhere over the last 2 weeks? What have we been doing?
No, we haven't.
Well, I want to take that note to thank everybody who's been sending prayers our way. Was able to bring my little man home from the hospital late last night. We still got a long road ahead of us. It's been kind of rough being home also. If you guys can keep saying prayers, keep sending good vibes, everything, we're taking it all. And again, thank you for keeping them in your prayers.
Yeah.
Now, okay, enough of all the sad stuff.
On with good
fun.
and huntings and everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, we do have a question before we get into these and start talking about what are the different types of hauntings. We did have a question that was posted earlier, and that question was, how do you know that it is something paranormal or that it is a haunting as opposed to just wishing that it was?
That is actually a really good question.
Very good question.
Yeah. I think, we kind of discussed it a little bit amongst ourselves, is actually, try to see if you can debunk anything and, find out, everybody's got recorders on their phones. Everybody's got flashlights, different things like that.
Very true.
I would definitely kind of work with that. A lot of people that wish certain things, I will strongly recommend maybe not doing it too much. There are times when certain types of hauntings we've gotten into ourselves, when somebody's wishing it's a loved one, things can manifest and pretend they're loved ones and become something really dark. And it has put attachments to people when you give it any type of attention. So, maybe you might be wishing it was a haunting, depending on the situation. But like I always say, there is not a professional ghost hunter.
No.
You're always learning. If there wasn't a professional ghost hunter, everybody would know what to do. and this field keeps growing. Different things are being used. People are trying different things. So, it's kind of a two-way thing.
But as you said, we're always learning, but we always seem to, whenever we do go somewhere, we always end up learning something new just about every time we go.
This is very true.
Which is good. And so we just kind of learn from that. And then if we need to use it, we use it. If not, but it's just a learning curve is what it all is.
I mean, I don't know how many people caught the show with the Reverend Sean on Monday night, but we were talking about different types of paranormal, and we were talking about the baby powder.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, no, what they did, and I never knew this, which is really awesome. You can go to one of these art supply stores and get the canvases,
Oh, okay.
and you put the powder on that. So if something walks
yeah.
across, then you use this spray, an art spray.
Yep.
And it actually freezes that, so you can see like you're making your own imprints if something
Oh, that's
walks.
really cool.
Could you
So
use hairspray too?
I'm pretty sure you could because it will hold the baby
Right.
powder. So
Yeah, because I've used hairspray before on stuff, but that would be good.
And
yeah.
honestly, yeah, Karen, you're right. That's why one thing that makes our group a little different than a lot of people, we make sure we check into everything that we do. We try to debunk everything first, especially when we're doing our privates, because we want to make sure. But we also, we learn from other groups. We met somebody last Sunday
Yes.
and found out some certain things that they do when they investigate. Little things that we didn't know about that could, pick out certain types, if it's a real paranormal haunting, or is it energy stuff that, more on the scientific side. So, when we talk about para-unity, we talk about paranormal things, we actually want to learn from other folks.
Oh yeah.
Because again, there is really no professionals.
No.
So
Some people may say that they are, but they're not.
And Karen, on your question too, I will let you know, I would say 90% or more, it is more than what you asked for.
Yeah.
So please be careful. Let's not give them names. Let's not let them know they're there. And make sure that if it's in your home, you take your home back. That is your safe place.
It's definitely the way to go.
Yes.
Definitely.
So,
You got to keep you and your family safe,
and
especially if you have kids, because
Yeah.
you really want to keep them safe.
Very true. Very true. So, hey, let's get started with some of this paranormal talk.
All right.
One of my
Right.
kind of favorite ones are the interactive ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love
well,
the interactive ones.
Where you can interact with them, and then you can, some can, whether they can be friendly or they can't be friendly.
Yeah.
It's just when you're interacting, that's when you do find out whether they are friendly or if they're not.
That's right.
And so it's just amazing on some of them when you do interact with them, because some of them it's funny, but then some of them it's not, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain unless you've actually active
It's been a long week.
Yeah.
I will let everybody
Everybody
know,
talk
you
today.
guys were sending prayers, but the RIP crew, which is also family, they also came to the hospital and been helping out. So we're all kind of lack of sleep. If you kind of notice the way we're all looking tonight, we're just all on. But there was a good question. And this actually goes great with the flashlight and the interactive, because interactive do it. I sometimes like the flashlight, Mary Ellen, but at certain times they can be tweaked. If it's too hot or too cold, the way a battery will expand. But we did, again, learn from other folks that, like if it's too cold or too hot, if you just use like a washcloth and lay it on there so you're not on like cement or a hard table, and you start using the flashlight, you want to ask questions. We use different colored flashlights. So our different color flashlights, Drew's getting a booty call. Anyways, but besides that, we ask certain questions to hit certain flashlights. So if you're using it, you want to do it in a sense where it's not just turn it off or turn it on.
And
use
if you-
different things.
If you do use a flashlight, the best ones actually to use is the mag light. When they're, about 4 or 5 inches, those ones. Because mag lights, it's easier for you to turn them to where they're just right, so that way
We
you
like
can.
the push button.
Yeah.
We do the push button.
We have gotten a push button to work before, though.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
it.
very
That's
scary.
true.
Oh,
we
that
have
was-
gotten the push button to really work.
Yeah.
That was actually by far one of the scariest things I've ever seen. That guy jumped in there, and the push button hadn't clicked, but it actually came on. And when he was standing there with his wife, she goes, "Did you touch it?" "No, I didn't touch it."
Yeah,
But then all of a sudden, he goes, "Well, I didn't touch it. How did it turn on?" And it turned off.
that's right.
Oh, that was freaky.
Yeah, and it's got to take a lot for it to do
They
the
have
push
to.
button.
And so when you're using some of the things, Mary Ellen, you can tweak different things. I would actually say, make it a little harder. So this way, the evidence you're getting is true evidence. Before we go on, though, guys, one of our other top fans, Ethan, is online tonight. He finally joined us.
What up, Ethan?
Ethan is one of our junior fans who represents Riverside, Iowa Paranormal, and we want to send you out lots of love, Ethan, and thank you for, being one of our top fans.
Yeah.
So on the research, which is really, really important before we go to location, it's actually Todd, who you guys don't really see on the camera because he's usually doing everything from behind the camera. He is our historian and researcher. There's a lot of clients that we do. Everybody just wants to run into a home and wants to do this paranormal investigation. Let's hurry up and put all sorts of stuff up and everything like that, right? We want to get cameras and all this.
Yeah.
Well, the research and the history and the land is really important.
Yeah.
So what we
Definitely.
do in our group,
Did something just fall?
yes,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
what we do is we actually have Todd. He does some of the, he looks at the old maps that were there to look where the landlines have been and stuff. And when we go to one of the homes, depending on if it's an interactive or residual or poltergeisty type of things going on, he's actually normally on the outside doing like the metal detector,
Right.
checking where
Yep.
there's
Yep.
fault lines and stuff to see if some of that actually has something to do with the paranormal activity.
And we do a little bit of some of the background research too when we do our initial intake, just
Yeah.
seeing what the homeowners know about the location, if there's any kind of folklore about the town that they're
Correct.
aware of or that their neighbors are talking about.
But
We
also-
take that into consideration.
But also too, if they have a copy of the deed, we
Yep.
usually look at that
Yep.
so that we can see, okay, how many families have lived in this home? And, if it's just been one or if it's been 15, it tells the history of,
And if there's been addition and subtractions of the home.
Yeah.
It's a
So,
lot of research, a lot of
Yeah.
background checks on everything, and
oh yeah.
making sure we figure out everything.
and we
that's going
take, again, like you said, we take the stories and then we look at some of the other things, and we kind of put it together. And we, I don't, a lot of people have watched the different shows on TV, they all, like I said, run in. When we're going in to help a family, we're going in to really help that family.
Yes, we are.
And so we do ask some of the tough questions. We ask like really important questions, to make sure that we're safe, they're safe, and we know what we're about to get into. And the interactive ones are the ones that always get us because
Right.
they manipulate a lot of people.
Right.
But also too, when we
Definitely.
go in to talk to them, we let them know, hey, we're going to be asking you questions that may be uncomfortable for you, but we have to ask these
Yes.
questions because we need to know if we need to, what's the word I want? Throw it out.
Keep
That's
it
not-
in, yeah.
Or whatever. Throw it
yeah.
out, keep it in, or whatever. So,
So what do you think about the interactive type of paranormal stuff? I mean,
You get a lot, Drew. You do get a lot of good luck with them interacting with the mag light for you.
I do get a lot of good luck with the mag light. I've also had some luck with the click button lights before. I've gotten stuff to move pool balls across the table one time. And actually,
Wow.
at Edinburgh, that was absolutely incredible. I had a group of people that was sitting there, everybody sitting there watching the pool table, and we actually got something to move a pool ball across all the way across the table.
Yeah.
well, that's cool.
So, we're kind of talking about an interactive spirits and things like that. Interactive spirits are a lot of times are the ones that could be like your family members, moving things around a little bit, just saying, hey, I'm actually here, things like that. But they also put things out like different types of smells and odors. It might be a cologne you might remember or perfume. When people have walked into places to do some of these events, there might be an area somebody goes, God, I just smell like somebody smoking a pipe and it's really strong.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what an interactive spirit is. It can do different things. Also, there's different types of emotions and everything that's included and stuff. Hi, Piper. So, it has a broad range, they want to let you know they're there.
Well, I think some people might be getting caught up in the terminology. Interactive is just another way for saying intelligent haunting.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's more of, they won't do a lot of the flashlight. They'll do some of it. They do things that you can remember it's them. So you don't really see a lot of the interactive personality types of spirits actually do a full manifestation.
Right.
They do things of, she remembers a certain song that always played when I went to grandma's house. And you happen to walk into her house to help and this song starts playing, or you smell her perfume or something like that. Those are different kinds of things that happen too. And you can feel like their emotions and stuff in the home.
Right. But
and-
also too, if you are smelling that, they could be there and they're just watching over you to make sure that you're okay, protecting you and just
So it's kind of like their way of letting you know that they're there and they are watching over you and that everything's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, be careful on those.
Yeah.
I have a question, and I was just thinking about this. What would you classify spirit guides as? Would that be interactive, or would that be something different?
I look at them as interactive because I believe our spirit guides are, everybody says they kind of know it's like a name of someone or an ancestor or something. I feel like our spirit guides have had some type of connection with us at one point. They were put in charge of this. It could have been a great grandmother that nobody's ever talked about because no one knew her, but is manifesting somewhere else as that spirit guide. Because if you look at it, spirit guides can be made up of angels, ancestors, and Native American. It depends on it. And it is a roundabout type of group. And I would say interactive would, because they make you smell things. They make you second guess. They give you that aha moment. That's my personal opinion. Does not mean it's right or wrong, but that's kind of what I feel.
But then sometimes my ear, I know your ear does, and
Oh, the
Bill's does,
ringing.
it'll start ringing, then you know that their spirit guide is trying to get your attention because they need to talk to you. So that's kind of interactively talk.
No, and that it's true.
Interacting.
Yeah, well,
Interacting, yes.
and okay, so Daphne says a lot of people forget about accents of the ones who have passed. Well, one of my spirit guides actually will talk to me in German. So I strongly feel that it has to do with somebody in my family line. Do I recognize them or do I feel them? I feel comfort around them, like I know who they are. But that's kind of who I think one of my guides are. If it's my Oma, great Oma, an aunt, whatever. But there's times when I'm not listening, I get yelled at in German. Just saying. So listen to them every once in a while.
Yeah, yeah. So.
Oh, nice,
Okay,
Melissa. Hopefully it was a good cologne. Maybe my luck had been Brute. I sneeze at Brute. Sorry.
By Fabergé.
Fabergé egg?
So let's go on to our next topic. Because now, again, what we're talking about, they're all intermingled.
Yeah.
Okay. So they all kind of work together. But here you go. This is yours.
The ectoplasma or ectomist.
That's right.
Or ectoplasm.
Oh, is that what it's supposed to be? What I say?
Plasma.
Ectoplasm.
Oh,
That's down the road. You get paid $20.
oops. Plasma. Okay. So my wording is whatever.
Oh, it's
Anyway.
okay. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
But what this is it's a vapor a vapor that appears.
Yeah, like a
You know,
mist.
almost like a mist.
Yes.
Because you've seen, if you walk into a room, then all of a sudden you see this mist going and stuff. That could be the ectomist, or it could be the ectoplasma.
Just the ectomist. Everybody knows. We're giving plasma.
Okay.
Ectomist. There we go.
All right, I'll just stick with that.
It's fine. It took me a whole week to say phenomenal.
That's what I'm saying.
But you can't. People have captured it on videos. They've done it in photographs. It's when you are capturing it, though, you have to look at it very carefully to make sure, because depending on where you were at, whether you're outside or in the room, and you also got to figure out if the weather, like if you're outside, make sure if it's not foggy, if it's fog coming in or anything. If you're inside, if there's any air coming through,
Well,
and
Gettysburg,
Yes.
great example. A lot of your graveyards, great examples. A lot of times if there's not enough energy, it can't come, it could become a full apparition. And you can see it. If it has enough energy, it can start forming into that. That's why when you go to Gettysburg and you look at the battlefields, a lot of people say, oh, it looked like, I seen like this fog appear. Then all of a sudden I see these soldiers walking and don't know. So, I mean, it kind of, but it can happen to your home too,
yeah.
depending on it. So,
Oh, really? About the ear ringing? I always thought it was because someone was talking about me.
well, they are talking about you.
They are.
It's normally a spirit guide talking about you or trying to get your attention, because you might be, if you guys really listen to an ear ringing and you always say someone's talking about me, that's kind of where that came from. And that is because if you have doubts of something, if you're trying to make a decision of something, pay attention when your ear rings. Or if you're about to get into a situation, like when we go into the buildings, and I know dolls will probably get around the corner, my ear starts yelling, like trying to tell me already, hey, you need to watch out because there's dolls. Do I listen sometimes? Probably not. But if you pay attention to when your ear is really ringing at certain times, you can actually pinpoint, I was just wondering, should I take this job or not take this job? It is that kind of way. Use that and then find a way of asking that question and say, give me another sign, either in my dreams or anything, because I'm not understanding what's in your ears. Spirit guides, angels. I know mine's probably an angel, and it's probably Michael going, oh God, here we go again. But you definitely want to kind of, pay attention. Yeah.
So Melissa,
You want to read that out loud so people can
I'm
tell?
sorry. I'm sorry. Melissa's asking, so I had a medium tell me once that nightmares, I would always have a rear. Huh?
There's more over there.
Nightmares are actually spirits yelling at you to get your attention. What do you think about that? I would always have a reoccurring dream about once a week that my house was haunted. Okay.
Go for it.
Dreams can be really, really different. I mean, I used to have this one reoccurring dream all the time. And then I happened to see what it was, actually with my own eyes, and I never did dream it again. So that could be that maybe your house is haunted, but you haven't, you need to find. Oh, I can't talk tonight.
Dreams are just plain and simple. They can be very tricky.
Yes.
From the scientific side, I'm sure we've all heard that dreams are a way of processing the things that happen during the day and dealing with our subconscious and that kind of stuff. Which, to a point, I agree with that. Yes. But then you also hear about people that have had precognitive dreams, where they're dreaming about things that haven't happened yet, and then they come true.
Deja vu.
Right.
Yeah.
Which there's a whole different theory about how deja vu works, but dreams can be a way, like you said before, a lot of spirit guides will contact us through dreams, loved ones that have passed. I've had them come and talk to me in dreams. I've also had the precognitive dreams. So dreams are just very tricky. My kind of personal advice with that is I try not to
Feed
Put-
into it.
I try not to put too much energy into them because I always have that thought, well, this could just be my brain's way of processing what's happened. So, be aware. You know yourself and your dreams best.
It's like the first time when we went to MSP, we had come up around the college, and I'm like, whoa, this is weird. And y'all looking at me like, what? I dreamed about this. I was coming up through this way and going around this way, which is really weird. And then I never had it again. So it's just.
Do we use crystals?
Yes.
Plain simple. Yes, we do.
I actually have some. I've got this black tourmaline, and then Michelle loves this because it was both of these were gifts from her. And then, what did you say this one was?
This is
Black
actually,
onyx?
black onyx with the
Seal.
seal
Of
of,
Archangel Michael.
Nice.
boom.
I
Drop
actually
the
have
mic.
mine on as
Oh.
well tonight.
Yeah.
Oh. You've got clear quartz and adventure. Yeah, it's tough because it
Well, Daphne,
looks like.
here's my thing about the provoking the spirits. We are nice when we go. But here's the thing, we actually do work with a lot of dark too. And sometimes the dark will come out to be like this sweet little girl or a sweet little person. And because some of us have abilities here, she feels it, you feel them. It's hard for me to say, but I will provoke at times because I see them. And when it's talking on a recorder or something as a little girl, because it's trying to get another little kid in the house to, invite it more in, I will provoke it out to make it show its true self. That's how we do it. Now, if we do an event, we don't do that kind of stuff. There's a difference when you're doing an event and when you're doing a private home.
Definitely.
We have had some dark cases that we've had to go in a little stern. That's kind of a different topic too. That's kind of when we get into the shadow people and things like that. They weren't human at first. So some of the stuff that we've seen have not maybe been a human, but can possess those kind of attributes.
Attributes.
Phenomenal.
How's that word down?
I got that word down.
So Karen wants to know, do you think there's a difference between nightmares and night terrors?
Yes.
Yes. there
Care to
is.
elaborate?
It depends on who you're dating.
Oh yeah, I guess. that could
Actually,
be.
different things. I feel nightmares are, I feel that's our stress levels releasing. So things that you have been going through and stuff like that, it doesn't matter if it was a day at work or been 5 years ago. And our brains work in a sense of it has to relate to something that we would understand. So when you have certain dreams or nightmares, it's putting it into a story that would make sense to you. It's telling you, here's how this goes. That's what I think the nightmares and your dreams, like you were talking. It's how we would be able to process it as us. Night terrors, those are scary because that can be two different things. I've heard people, because it's something paranormal that's actually really messing with you, and that's how it's getting to you by doing the terrors. Night terrors also, they have it where the paralysis and everything comes in and you feel like all that.
Children. So a lot of children usually have night
My
terrors.
brothers used to get them real bad. My parents said that they'd wake up to him screaming in his bed at night, and then it's almost. I am careful to equate it this way, but it's almost kind of like a form of PTSD, because people who are going through PTSD are interacting with the things around them just in a different way than those who don't suffer from PTSD would. And it's the same with night terrors.
Well, right now, Mr. Bill is going to take us out to thank our sponsor that we have, because we couldn't do anything about
This.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know I was getting thrown into that one. We want to thank our sponsors, the McIntyre Villa in Atchison, Kansas. I put the link to both their sites up there. They do have some live stream cameras going on right now.
Yes.
They're moved throughout the building. If you ever get a chance to go to this place, it is awesome. Check it out. Go there. Thank you to the McIntyre Villa. You guys are awesome.
Now that you said it, we got to tell our viewers,
Oh,
our sponsors, we are going to have a live interview with
yeah.
Stephanie
Yes.
and Jeff.
Oh,
We will
yeah.
be at the
On
McIntyre
location.
Villa. Mark your calendars, August 17th. It'll be our 8 o'clock show, but we'll be live at the villa. You guys will be able to ask questions to the owners of the
Mhm.
villa. So put it on your calendar, but we'll be going straight live from them. But go check out the static cams.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they are
they've got some
catching-
wild stuff on those.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it runs 24 hours.
Mhm.
So, again, we want to thank the McIntyre Villa for being our sponsor. I love you guys. This is one of those, it's my favorite place because
Oh my gosh.
it's like that little jewel that I found, we're
Mhm.
all there.
The diamond in the rough.
Yeah, and so much goes on. It has so many different layers, and almost every type of paranormal we're talking about tonight actually happens at this villa.
Oh yeah.
So
And-
it's
and
awesome.
For us, we almost feel comfortable there, like if it's our own home,
Yeah.
because it's we just love it so much.
Mhm.
It's just awesome.
So again, the links were added to it. So, go check them out. Like their Facebook page. They got all sorts of different little events that come up. You guys will enjoy. You get welcomed when you get there. Hey, they got running water, so you can actually
yeah.
use an
Yes.
inside bathroom.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Best thing a paranormal investigator likes to hear, especially the women paranormal investigators, there's bathrooms that
Yup.
you can actually use with a
Yup.
light. Not a flashlight. So let's
Definitely.
get on back into it. We're kind of talking about these
Yeah.
different types of paranormal things. The ones that I kind of have a really hard time with, again, let me explain. I know that Kelly can fill. She's our grounder. She's our Reiki master, and she does all that because she has to keep us all in line. Then we have Jake, who sees
tough.
different pictures and says, hey, do you see this? Do you see this? And we're like, oh, yep. Well, then you have myself, and I kind of see it in the nightmarish way. And so the poltergeist thing, I have a hard time getting a grasp around it because I can't see it,
Mhm.
and I can't make out what it is.
And then we have me, who you just throw into the closet.
We So Drew is actually sensitive too, but he kind of blocks it off. And Bill is also, we all have those senses.
We all have
But
something.
when they're with us, especially when we're in a place we really don't know, them two normally kind of shut that down and take care of more of the technical things to help us do it. We got, Jake, who is actually a psychic medium. I'm a physical medium, and you're a sensitive healer.
Yep.
So, when you put us three together in a room, things come alive. Poltergeist, I got to walk away. I'm not very good at it because it's mainly all energy based, which she can feel, but still I have a hard time with it because it can be drawn off of teenagers.
Yep.
No,
Mhm.
yeah.
Teenagers will actually do a lot of that poltergeist type of stuff because the energy that oozes off of them can actually intensify stuff.
Especially when they're starting their the puberty age and stuff, because they really have
With their
a lot of
hormones and their emotions.
Right. Yep. So excuse me.
Vicky's got a long one.
Okay, read it to
Yeah.
us.
I had a strange kind of scary until I knew I was dreaming. My son was away at college. I told him about it, and he wrote it down for a thing he needed for college. The teacher said it was so good that it could
Be a sci-fi movie?
be a sci-fi movie or a book.
Sci-fi
He
book.
got the
Wow.
highest grade of the class, and
Class parent.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
apparently.
that's actually pretty
All
cool.
the teachers
Yeah, that is cool.
read it too.
But you think about
that is
it.
awesome.
Well,
That is
not
neat.
just that, that's a good laugh out loud, but look, it was something that was so scary to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then when, we look at the scientific way, we can make it into a movie to kind of take away that reality of it too.
Mm-hmm.
And we all run into that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
and
When
Yeah.
reality is scarier than
Yeah.
the movies.
That's the hard part. Sometimes when people actually, I'm going to come up on the screen real quick. The hard part is you get a lot of people that watch all these movies and they watch everything that happens and they can't differentiate between what's real and what's fake. And then they go to a location where they have seen it on TV, they've watched other people investigate there, and then the things that don't happen to them, because I saw it on TV, it's got to happen there, it doesn't happen. And that is a big drawback and a big punch in a black eye
Yeah.
for the paranormal investigation world, for the people that are not trying to fake it. They're not
Right.
trying to
Correct.
kick back and just say, hey, I want to make some money off this.
Mhm.
But it's also bad towards the people that want to go there
That's right.
and to the
right.
locations too. Because when you find out that a location is actually, some things were faked there, then it turns out that only thing you're getting is nothing.
And then if they want to go to another place, how do they know that's not going to be fake or anything like that?
Right.
True.
That's why we say that when we do events, that we do not
Stage.
stage anything.
Definitely not.
So,
Here's rule of thumb, guys, and this is where I go back and forth, and I guess this one is like a sore subject for me
right.
because we have the 5-minute famers or whatever.
Mhm.
Now, if we had a chance to do a show, I would do a show because I want people to see, real paranormal investigators helping real families
Right.
and really listening to their stories and trying to find a solution.
Mhm.
But we might end up that show with not a solution. And I
Right.
want to be able to say, okay, at this point, we're going to have to think of something else. And that's kind of show I would like.
Mhm.
But at the same time, when you're going into these places, your body is your best tool.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So if
Absolutely.
you're walking into a dark corner and you literally feel like, okay, all my little spidey senses are telling me this is not a good place or this is not that, you need to take that as evidence.
Mhm.
Just because it's not on a recorder or it's not on a flashlight or it's not on these other beepy lights does not mean it doesn't exist.
Right.
And that's kind of where, a lot of paranormal teams go back for. Would I like what I see show up on a video or something? Well, it has, but beside the point, that's validation for me.
Right.
Mhm.
But sometimes it does happen. But people have to really dig deep into themselves because we all have a certain type of ability.
Mhm.
And a lot of it can be empathic or sensitive.
Mhm.
And so those are what you need to really pay attention to. Melissa, I see your question, hon. We're going to be talking about that, which I was going to talk to you in August. So put that down. Don't let me forget because I didn't want to sit down and have a chit chat.
Well, and just briefly to go back, Michelle, to what you were talking about, how when the lights start blinking and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff on camera, that is great validation. But you and I have both seen it where we're watching this interactive personality do nothing with the equipment.
No, because it knows.
Right. And then those that aren't
That's an
sensitive
intelligent
or
one.
or can't see
Mhm.
just sit there and think that nothing's happening. But there really is. It's just not on the lights and the technology and things like that. And with the whole kind of going with your gut feeling and body being the best thing, you're exactly right. We've all had, or most of us have had instances where we just have a gut feeling that something is wrong and something's not right. We
And so
may
you
not,
send Drew into the closet.
so we might not see anything.
guinea
We
pig.
might not be getting
Yeah.
lights to blink or anything like that. You've seen me do it before, where
Yeah.
I put one foot in a room and go, "Oh no, that's just not happening."
I've
You
done
do it
that.
all the time too.
Well, yeah, I just send you guys in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually
Drew?
go in before
Drew,
she does.
come on into this room.
If
Right
you
behind you.
if you see Michelle do this, why don't you go in first? Do not go in first.
Or if I'm going in first and I go, don't
Or-
go in there.
Or if you're going to walk into a building and Michelle reaches for the handle of the door and goes, Bill, why don't you go in the door first?
Sally house.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Sally
touched that doorknob and I knew something was about to come flying out there. I seen it right on the other side of the door. And I'm
And
like,
she pushed me into the door.
I went behind Bill and I'm like, Bill, you really need to open that door. And I'm sitting there shaking because I'm like, oh, it's about to
And
go
then-
down.
When he opens the door, the first thing you see, a doll.
She listened to her
Baby
guide.
crib.
I listened to my guide. I said, oh, hell no, Gar, you don't need to go there. Or walk in a dark, long hallway with Bill and say, hey, Bill, there's some guy standing next to you just looking at yourself, looking at you. And don't do what Bill did. What? If I say it's by you, you might
Now,
want to
wait
take
a
it.
minute.
Wait a minute.
Hold on. I'm a guy.
Yeah.
You tell me there's something
Where
there.
are you going?
Oh,
with this?
you gotta look.
We gotta look.
You gotta look.
You gotta look. It's a
You
guy
are
code.
obligated.
I don't.
at
I
this
just
point.
sit there and go, oh, okay.
That's because you're one of the guys that goes, no, I'm listening to Michelle.
And it hasn't steered me wrong yet.
It will, trust me.
I
Yes,
trust her too when I
Melinda.
got put in the closet.
Melinda, we do use pendulums. We use
Oh, yeah.
crystals. We use herbs. We use crosses. I mean, we do biblical side. We do different types of spirituality sides. We make sure if something has something to do with the Native Americans, we bring somebody in to help us. That's one part we don't. We can let you know if it's there, but we will never tell you that we can cleanse it or clean it. We actually find people who, like a shaman, that can actually do that particular thing. If it's about demons or dark energies and stuff, we can do that. We bring a lot of holy water. We'll let
Oh,
them
yeah.
talk with the pendulums. That would be Jake. Drew does pendulum, and so does Kelly. The pendulum, it'll talk to me, but it talks too much. So I've got like a whole staff meeting going on. So I just kind of put it down and let the professionals take care of it. So yeah, we use a little bit depending on where we're at and what we're trying to achieve. We make sure we have this broad range of different ways of doing things. And again, if all else fails, you send Drew in first, or you yell for Bill and tell him to look, and then everything is solved. That's just how we roll.
It's like, oh, something bad happened. Let's not go in there. Carry on. Drew, just crawl your way out of there. You'll be fine. Shake it off.
So I will say our next one was, as we're talking about this, we're having fun and trying to do things. What are your guys' thoughts about orbs? That big sigh.
I
No
don't.
words or less, Jake.
I don't mind when people bring orbs, like pictures of orbs,
Correct.
to us because it gives us a great opportunity to educate.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many places where, or investigators, you bring up a picture of an orb to them and they go, yep, that's an orb. Most of the time it's really not.
No.
And I've had some of our private cases send me pictures of orbs and say, what is this? And I go, well, you know.
It's so and so.
Yeah.
And that's a good question for stopping at. Drew, why do you think people get so angry when you tell them it's really not an orb? I mean, what do you think? Because when you start talking orbs, even in a chat room, it will start World War III.
It will.
I think a lot of it is they want to believe that they found something. They have this evidence. They believe it's real. They believe it is there. And they can't find any other reason that it could be anything else. And then you turn around and say, well, it's a little speck of dust, or it's this, or maybe there's a little bit of light that's reflecting over here. And you just basically took their evidence that they thought they had and you took it away from them, essentially.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to jump in here real quick. This is the only time you guys are ever going to hear me say this. I'm going to put a picture up on the screen. I want it'll be on the one right in front of Kelly. I want you guys to look at it, and you tell me what you think.
Dang, they need to dust their backyard.
Their lens on the camera too.
Yeah.
Well,
could be
there's
something.
there's like
There's
a
a
lot.
lot
There's a
going
lot
on.
there.
There's a lot going on there.
There's bugs. I can
Yeah.
see some of the lens.
Okay, yeah.
There's pollen.
Pollen.
You can look at, because
Definitely.
the
Yeah.
plants are green and you can see some of them are starting to flower. So they give
Yeah.
off pollen when they do that, and that will reflect
Is
light.
it raining? I mean, it
Moisture,
could
is
be
it humid?
moisture, you know. I mean, the humidity, it could be humidity off of that. You know, so it just,
It depends.
Yeah.
Is there such things as orbs out there? Yes, there
yes,
is.
there is.
If you get an orb, it's a 1 in a million, and hold on tight, okay? Karen, I don't personally make my own holy water because we do a lot of work with the churches. So we kind of get an abundance of holy water, and we have a lot of elderly that love us so much that will go and get it from the real big pool, how they say it, and deliver it to us in mason jars. But I heard you can make your own holy water. I just I steer and go towards that because, like I said, we work with all denominations. So, you know, even when we've done a case for like Methodists or Lutherans, they bring us in and say, you know, we're a little short on the holy water, so we'll bring the holy water. We're actually taking all different types of religions and we work as one, you know. I go in with my own faith. I use what I think will work for me, which is a lot of times calling on ancestors, angels, and I even call Mother Mary, depending on what situation. You know, Jake, he comes from a different side, so he might call in somebody different. He might not actually use the holy water. He'll use what he, you know, like, well, you use a lot of herbs and stuff like that, but we still bring it in together because at the end of the day, not just one thing might work. And I've noticed if we combine everything together, we seem to get way more success. More success. So the one thing I will say is when we do a private, we do actually find out what the family's belief is. Because when we go in and do a cleansing or any type of things like that, we actually have to use what their really strong faith is because we teach them how to do it and take control of their home, but they have to continue it on after we leave.
Right.
So we can't say, you got to do exactly what Jake does or exactly what Michelle does or, you know, what Kelly might do. We actually have to make sure we integrate what they're doing with ours. So we normally leave them with some prayers, we leave them with sage, we leave them with different herbs, and we show them how to use it so they can integrate their faith to take back what's theirs.
Absolutely.
Does that sound?
Yeah.
Sounds about right, right?
Yeah.
You know what we do?
Yeah.
And again, all fellas, send in Drew. Hey, Dom and Dana, it's nice to see you guys. Hi, Patsy.
So has anybody seen any orbs with their bare eyes? Are you able to do that?
Oh!
Yes.
I have.
Yes, we did. And it was in Gettysburg.
Oh, careful with the red one, though.
No, it was with your own eye, and it was in the day.
It was broad daylight.
Oh, wow.
Scared the crap out of me.
And it was in the middle of the road doing it. So we tried to debunk every bit of it. We actually went every piece of it. So, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, actually, I think you and I saw one in a private once. We were down in the basement, all the lights were off, and the lights were really dim, and we saw an orb come up out of the floor and move across the floor and go into a camera, actually.
Yep.
I've actually had another one where an orb came up out of the floor, and it was so bright that, at least I'm calling it an orb because I can't think of what else to call it.
An orb is an
Round,
energy source.
and it was so bright that it lit up the room it was in and the adjacent room to it.
That's nice.
I had 25 people in there with me. All 25 of us saw it. I could see everybody's face in a completely black area. And that was actually Missouri State Penn.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
It was
Denise,
incredible.
if you would love to go to Riverside, Iowa Paranormal group page, which we can put a link, I would love for you. It's a private group page for RIP. Everybody knows the rules there. You have to be very polite. But I would be very interested in seeing that picture. That sounds like an amazing picture. Nobody gets bullied in the RIP group. It is a private group. It's a closed group. And so people can put things on there. And, you know, if you're putting something on, you might get one or two people say it doesn't really look like something. Please don't ever take any of that personal. But I would be interested in seeing that orb.
Definitely.
That sounds pretty cool because I'd like to zoom in on it too. And Melinda.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, there's only one person that normally gets hurt in this group.
Bill.
Bill. Oh, no, and Drew.
Oh, yeah, and
Oh,
Drew.
yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
Drew.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're kind of like our scratch magnets, our push magnets.
They're the
brick
punching bag.
Yeah,
We basically are punching bags.
pretty much. I have gotten attacked more on the emotional side at one point.
That's what I do.
Yeah, that one I have to try to work through myself. Personally, knock on wood, I have never gotten scratched or anything because I know how to run and stand behind someone.
You do get physical interactions. You get a lot of shoves.
Oh,
and
I've got
pokes
shoves and yeah, they kind of shove me, poke me, or if they know I'm getting kind of close to what their true self is, I get called a lot of nasty names.
Oh, I have too.
Oh,
And
yes.
sometimes I have these outbursts that something like goes right through me, and I will say stuff that just comes out of my mouth that's really not me, and then I step back going, oh man, they got me because I didn't protect myself enough.
They've
Like
done
what?
that to me too.
Like what happened to me when we were at the McIntyre.
Yeah.
When that one lady, it got a hold of her, and then she left, and then I could feel its anger. But I think you said it wasn't my voice; it was
No.
somebody else's voice, and then that's when you had to say, "Okay, Kelly, okay, we need to get out of here."
Yeah.
I mean, because he was very, very angry.
So
Oh, brick to the head. Yeah, you've gotten a brick to the head, and nobody else was in there with you. Yes.
that was again, remember I said the Sally house, I
Yeah.
didn't want to open the front door. Well, our one and only Bill actually went into a hole
In the basement.
and in the basement, and
Thank you for clarifying.
It puts the bill in the hole.
and he actually had a piece of brick thrown at his head.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what made this more interesting, because we're used to getting hit, poked, pried, whatever, and we kind of just deal with it, move on. But we actually had people there with us.
Mhm.
And
did.
we, because it was an event for Ghost Hunts USA,
Yep.
and we went there, and that was our first time. And I know that one of them called and said, put Bill in the hole. And so, but other people went in that hole and had the same types of things happen, and they got pictures to take back with them. So it wasn't just a one person saying this happened to me. It was
Right.
like it was happening to
Everyone.
everybody.
It was
Yeah.
repeatable. In other
Yes, and so
But I
that
think-
kind of.
I think he was the only one that got hit with the brick. Everybody else was getting scratched because that one.
And the rocks that were
Yeah.
down there were getting thrown
But
at him.
his was
Well, he's got a bigger head, so they
That's
maybe use a
true.
brick. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Melinda, yes, I do try to sometimes move them to the other side, but we have to be very careful with that. Because again, when we're talking about getting manipulated for certain things, you have to be careful trying to take them to the other side. Because if you're moving something to the other side and it's manipulating you, it can actually open a side that can bring more in,
Yeah.
almost like a portal. So, you've got to kind of know where you're at and know that surrounding of what you're dealing with. And those are very, a lot of people say, I send everybody off to the light. Well, you might be able to say you sent everybody to the light. But again, that's something that is very dangerous.
Mhm.
You have to know what you're about to move to the other light, because I want everyone to go to the other light. But there is, a lot of people think there's only good, but you got to remember there's also dark. And the dark knows how to play good to reel you in.
They'll
You have
manipulate
the
your
good with the bad and the light with the dark.
That's right.
Because you've got to have the two.
The
Yeah.
yin and the yang.
Mhm.
Yep.
And if you look at it, whether it's on the biblical side, on the spiritual side, on anything, even the book of Enoch will show you there was the light and the dark.
Mhm.
Hi,
So it
Kylie.
always- So, well, what was our next one we were going to really talk about? We had different, like, shadow
I
people.
think that. Oh, funnel
Funnel
ghosts. Okay.
Those are really good. You find those at the fair. And sometimes you get
Funnel
one.
ghosts,
And they put a
not
little bit.
funnel cakes, Michelle.
They could be shaped
Little
as
bit of brown
ghosties.
sugar on it, and
Yeah, they're powdered sugar.
Brown
Powdered
sugar.
sugar.
He
Yeah.
said brown sugar.
Powdered sugar.
What funnel?
Each to their-
What fairs are you going to?
Each to their own.
apparently the good ones.
You know what? Brown sugar might be good on it.
Brown sugar is good on it.
I like the powdered
Powdered sugar
sugar,
works too,
so
though.
this way
Yeah,
it's
you
like
got all
you've
over
been
your face, and people think.
All right, back to
you're
funnel
eating.
ghosts.
funnel ghosts.
Okay.
Okay, we've been around a lot of vortexes and stuff like that. And that's kind of where you see that. It's more, and a lot of people associate it with cold spots.
Mhm.
A lot of people will associate it with, beams of lights and different things that are coming through. But it does shape kind of like a funnel, and
Yep.
that's kind of where it's got its name.
And it
Yeah,
has a
'cause most of
swirling.
the
It
time,
has a
yeah,
swirl.
and most of the time they're coming up this way, usually at an angle. Usually, if most of the ones that we've seen. So
Yeah, and those are kind of off and on. I think a lot of those are normally seen more of the outside, because the energy sources that, like the moons and stuff that bring, I think that's kind of what that does.
yeah,
I haven't really seen too many funnel ghosts in a home. Who's to say if they're there? But,
Mhm.
at the same time, if someone has some type of a portal or some kind of opening that they've had opened in their home, you might get that type of sensation where you're getting more cold spots and different things like that.
Let's go on to our next one, which I think that one is going to be the shadow people.
The shadow people.
Yeah.
Yeah, shadow people.
Yeah.
They're a little different. They're
are.
dark.
Ugh,
They look like a shadow.
yeah.
No.
I mean,
I just want to bring this up because you see them in the death state just like you would see any of us.
yes, I
Mhm.
seem like you guys.
When I see them, I get the psychic picture, which is more of what you visual in my head, and then I see physically in my eyes, I see more of that black shadow silhouette. So you do need to be careful on what are you actually. Is it a true shadow person in the sense that we're about to discuss, versus is that just the way that they're presenting themselves?
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
And and a lot of them, I mean, you've got like the hooded shadow man that everybody talks about, or a lot of people see the dark shadow man in certain places, like wearing the top hats and things like that.
Yeah.
I personally feel with the shadow people, when people are saying, I've seen it with a black hat and things like that, I go right back to what our mind wants us to see to process it. So I'm not saying he's not wearing a black hat, but to us, that would make sense as we're looking at it visually to kind of compute with it. When there is a black shadow, when I see him, it's got these long arms and it crawls on the walls and on the floors
Oh, yeah.
and it
Crawlers.
slithers on you.
Yeah.
Those are my shadow
Or
people.
drops down from the ceiling and pulls on your hat.
And literally pulls on my hat, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen those.
So those are my shadow people.
I've seen
Crawlers.
some of them too with really long fingernails. Yeah, reaching around a door frame and they just kind of one finger after another grab on the door frame.
And then they kind of peep around because there are
Yeah.
some that are shadows that we call peepers, where they're just kind of looking out like, okay, and then they pop back in and they pop back out.
We're almost at the top of the hour, but we're going to give it another 3 minutes tonight, just to make sure we get through this. Nissa, everybody that's joining us, hello.
Hi, Nissa.
We don't want to go over too far because there's other shows coming on, but just a couple minutes. But like I said, especially the shadow people, a lot of people see those. That's what a lot of people, hauntings, the shadow people. And like Jake said, he sees them more in a picture. And other people say they see the white flowing and different things like that, When I see him, I'm seeing him like I'm looking at Kelly. But if Kelly would have shot herself in the head, I would see that with the bullet wound and everything like that. So I don't see them. So when I see the shadow people, I'm seeing the true form of a shadow person.
Are shadow people, is that what kind of like children equate that what they're seeing in a room sometimes?
Yeah.
The shadows, and that's what's giving, they don't want to go into a room?
Correct.
Is that kind of what they're saying?
Yes. So, so children are really good with the whole shadow things. And I believe that because kids know nothing but good.
Yeah.
It's always been said, we all have free will. We all know good from bad. But a kid going through toddler stage and all that only know good. Because everything, they're always happy, everything's good, right? And so when they're seeing that shadow person and get scared, that's almost like their spirit guide going, that's not a good thing. Because if you notice when kids are talking about they have a playmate or something, they're seeing them as children and stuff. And then they'll come back to you and say, Johnny was playing with my ball, but now Johnny's this big guy and he's black and it's wavy, because then the true self comes out.
Right.
Yep.
And that's when they're getting introduced to what could be bad. And they don't understand it. It doesn't compute because everything is good. So
that's when they start getting really scared.
Oh, Kathy, I am so sorry if that's, well, if you got good shadow people, okay.
Lucky you.
We'll just send them to Kathy's house. They're good there. She got a shadow person party going on. But yeah, I just, it's sometimes it's hard for me to explain because the way I see things and how I do it. Like I said, again, these are the things how I perceive that or see them and perceive how to change them into verbiage. again, other people see them different ways too.
Like me, I see them where they just got the arms and the torso and that's it. And they're just all over the place. Like Jake said, they're just all over. Because the first time I saw one, it scared the crap out of me.
And I just sat back in the corner and go, because I was watching it the whole time.
Or they're crawling on the floor and you just hear Michelle, everyone lift your feet up.
And they do.
I've seen one crawl over some people's legs.
Yeah.
When we were at
And it's great when they're saying,
in
God, it feels
Minnesota.
like something's touching me.
at the,
All right,
at the
guys,
Nopal
we're about to have to get off the air. We want to
Yeah.
give final shout outs to everybody,
Yes.
the Spirit Realm Network for having us on here and
Yes,
giving us
thank
time
you.
to be able with you guys. All of our followers in the para unity field. We love learning from everybody. We love when you guys are on. What we're going to do as we're moving forward and putting these other shows on, if you guys have questions for that show, start them on the comments before the show
Definitely.
comes on during the week, because we write those down and we can start talking about those. So this way we don't miss anybody's comments.
Right.
We want to do another big shout out to the McIntyre Villa.
Yes.
Yes.
They are our
Thank you.
sponsors. I
Thank
want to
you,
give
Stephanie.
out a big shout out for some of our team that's not here. We have Todd that's not with us tonight. We also have Dom and Dana.
Up in
They're
Minnesota.
up in Minnesota.
And we have Melissa, who's in Kansas City.
And that's
have
our team. And
Brittany.
we have,
Oh, I'm Brittany.
And who can
I was
Oh,
getting
yeah.
there. I was trying to say what they did. And we have Brittany out of Indiana. So we got teams that can't be there. We also want to thank a lot of our top fans that are on here.
Yes.
And thanks for sharing our show.
Oh, yes.
We need you to share. We want to get people out there. We want more questions. Give us a hard question. I mean, if you think something we said doesn't sound right to you, send
Let
us
us
a
know.
comment.
Yeah.
I'll sit here and debate. I love debates and
Yes, she does.
Well, that's how we
friendly
all learn.
ones.
And that's how we
Friendly
learn.
ones.
Yeah,
friendly ones.
Yeah.
Because I want to learn from you guys as much as I can maybe teach
Much
you guys something.
Yeah.
All you got to remember, if you're going somewhere and you need help, call Drew and Bill. And this way, if you're too scared to go somewhere, send them in. That is my teaching for tonight.
Drew, I'm feeling the love here tonight.
Yeah, feeling it. Definitely.
Because we're
Oh,
sending
we
love and
still
light out
love
to
you
you.
guys.
We're sending tons of love and light to everybody, right? Again, thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
day. We'll see
Thank
you in
In the
the
dark.
dark.